Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Copper Jacket TV. So I'm sure all of you out there have seen the absolute nightmare that is the House of Representatives and the vote for Speaker. Right now, McCarthy still in the lead, but we have about 20 people that are kind of voting against him. Well, there's a lot of people wondering if McCarthy actually does get voted in as Speaker, well, what does that mean for gun control? Because he is a California Republican, and a lot of California Republicans are mostly rhinos. So you got to wonder, what does that mean for our rights if he actually does become Speaker of the House? Well, thankfully, we have his voting records that date back here all the way to 2006, so we can actually see what his record is on all of the proposed gun legislation that's made its way through Congress over the years. So let's talk about where he stands on gun control. This channel is proud to be sponsored by the USCCA, which is absolutely the best membership you could ever have in your wallet. With your membership, you get things like self-defense, liability, insurance. They also have online training and education so that you know how to react during a self-defense scenario and what to do after a self-defense scenario. Now, as you guys know, 2022 was a pretty interesting year when it came to the Second Amendment. We saw some pretty pro-Second Amendment stuff happen. We saw the Supreme Court's decision in Bruin. We saw that the latest assault weapons ban did not make its way through Congress, but we also saw some bad. There's a lot of new bans. There's new carry restrictions. We saw some retaliation for the Bruin decision in states like New York and New Jersey and Illinois. And, you know, there was a little bit of a mixed bag, right? But we also saw things like the latest assault weapons ban not make it all the way through Congress. We did see one bill that made it through Congress, the Safer Communities Act, that made it both through the House and the Senate with the help of some Republicans. So we were all kind of hoping that this year we'd have a little bit less to worry about if Republicans took over the House, or at least the House at minimum. We were hoping they would take over the Senate as well, but that just didn't happen. But they still have the House. Well, what does that mean if McCarthy is Speaker? Well, taking a look at his record, and I'll put his record up on the screen here so you guys can see each thing that he voted for individually as well, it actually looks pretty good. While I'm not a huge fan of Kevin McCarthy, given the fact that I've seen him flip-flop on certain topics in the past and kind of make certain concessions that didn't make me happy, it seems like he's got one of the most solid voting records when it comes to our Second Amendment constitutional rights. Now, the list that I have here goes back to 2006, but I gotta say, his voting record is pretty much flawless. If we start off with the most recent vote, which is July 29th of 2022, the assault weapons ban of 2022, he votes no. Another one on July 13th, he votes no. And then the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which we're now starting to see the consequences of, he also voted no. Now, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act is one that a lot of Republicans voted yes for. As a matter of fact, that's why it passed, was because it had that, so-called bipartisan support. Well, that wasn't a great bill, and it's definitely going to have some consequences and some unintended consequences as well. So it's nice to see that he was one of the people that voted no for that particular act. There's also the Federal Extreme Risk Protection Order Act that is basically, about red flags on June 9th of 22. Also votes no for that. And we go down the list again, just a bunch of no votes, enhanced background checks, bipartisan background, and so forth. You can see that he votes no for all of these major bills that have come through the House that have to do with gun control. Now, here's where you're going to start seeing some yeses, right? So we see March 2018, we go through December 2017, and so forth. He's voting yes on these. These are actually positive bills. These are either pro-2A bills or bills that actually do something to help. And you can kind of read a little bit more about it. For instance, the first one on 3/14/2018, H.R. 4909. Read a little bit about that. That was actually a pretty good bill as well. He votes yes for reciprocity, yes for veterans. He votes for a lot of things here that are definitely very pro-2A. Prohibits the District of Columbia from implementing certain laws, firearms laws. He voted yes to that. He voted yes for state reciprocity, basically national reciprocity. So there's a lot of different things as we scroll down here. He even voted for credit card accountability, so that credit card companies have to be a little bit more exposed if they start tracking people and their purchases. So you can see he voted to repeal portions of the D.C. firearm ban and so forth, and voted no for micro-stamping of projectiles. So again, it goes back to 2006. It's not absolutely everything, but these are the major votes that took place in the space of the 2A. Now, when it comes to me trusting politicians, my trust in them is this much. That's how much I trust politicians. The only thing I have to go off of here is just the simple voting record to see where does he stand, where has he stood in the past, because guaranteed there was a lot of pressure to vote yes on pretty much all of these bills. There was a lot of pressure to try and gain support from somebody like him, a senior member, obviously. So if he didn't cave on that and didn't give concessions on that and even voted no on a lot of the, so-called bipartisan stuff, then it gives me at least a little bit more faith that if he does, I mean, obviously it's pretty much gridlocked right now, but if he does become speaker, I can go off his voting record and say I have some faith that he won't cave on this in the future as well. While he's given concessions in the past, and I think every politician's probably given certain concessions, I don't think on this particular one we have that much to worry about. Obviously, we know that it's, he's going to be under a microscope. There's going to be a lot of scrutiny, and we know we're going to see things entered, right? We know that we're going to see more gun control go through Congress in 2023. It is absolutely 100% inevitable. So it's good to know where people stand on this particular topic so that, we have a better understanding of how things might go, because it could stop at the House. Now, while this might seem kind of trivial to a lot of you, this is very important. It's very important who has that gavel, because they choose who's on the committees. The bills that are going to be introduced go through those committees, and so they have a lot of power to determine what bills actually make it to the House floor and then what happens from there. So again, there's a lot of power in that gavel, and that's why this is so important. So it's best not to just throw it off and hope for the best. So I want to thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, that little thumbs up and bell notification, and you guys have a great day.